Hello, everyone, and welcome to Snap Take. This is Glazer of Snap Judgments, the official podcast of Marvel Snap Zone, and we've got what everyone thinks is going to be the worst card of the month, Hercules. Is there going to be a move meta? I'll save you time. Nah, probably not. We could be wrong, though. We've been wrong about cards before, and we will again. It is Hercules time. In addition to Hercules, we've also got a review of Werewolf by Night and Howard the Duck, both of whose variants are both of whom's variants are extremely cool for this week. Before we go any further, though, I'd like to invite you to hit that sub, hit that like, hit that comment here on this channel. We're on our way to 8,000 subs, and you can help us get there completely for free by just hitting that button. If you're already subbed, try and get a friend to sub. Help us spread the word. We'd really appreciate it. We do our best to bring you the best Marvel Snap content basically 7 days a week at this point. We bring you 3 new decks every single weekday and also Sunday, and then a 2+ hour podcast every Saturday. So this covers you for all your Marvel Snap needs. Hit that button. In addition, we maintain a giveaway sheet. It's in the description to this and every video. It's every active giveaway in Marvel Snap right now, thanks to our friend Banshee. So if you would like to check out some content creators and potentially get some free stuff in the process, this is the sheet for you. All right, we always do questions of the day to begin. So our question of the day is from Zen and Siren. Um, they ask about an unhealthy relationship with the game framed large around the idea of tilting. Raffle Waffle suggests that regular breaks and blames Reddit for this phenomenon. And I have thoughts. So Marvel Snap is built to play with the gambling addiction part of your brain, whether it be snapping, whether it be how quick and easy it is to start another game, whether it be the monetization or anything else. Marvel Snap is fundamentally a game built around gambling. That's unhealthy, and our brains are not built to resist that. Fundamentally, the majority of human brains are built to fall into these traps. There are ways around it, but it's really, really difficult. And depending on who you are and what your brain is like, it will be more difficult. If you're the type of person who knows that they have an unhealthy issue with gambling, please don't play Marvel Snap if you can avoid it. It's not going to be healthy for you. Your relationship with the game is going to not work out for you. However, if you can have a healthy relationship with the game, I suggest that the blaming of Reddit is off base, but not as off base as one might think. So I'm in several Facebook chats for Marvel Snap. One of them, I can never remember which one, unfortunately, is fairly good. The one that Min frequents. The others are kind of, or I think there's also one that Toby might be in. Whatever. The others are kind of terrible. Like they often get toxic, and they're full of people sort of being jerks to each other. The Reddit is really over negative. Certain corners of Twitter and certain content creators can end up really negative. If you're having trouble, you need to find supportive people. You need to find people not that will lie to you, but that will help you, like get past tilt, that will talk to you as you're tilting, will urge you to stop playing. You need the voices outside your head to counter the one that's happening inside your head that's like punching things, right? So you need people that are going to be calm and treat you well. If you're going to Reddit or these Facebook groups, you're not getting that. If you're going to the wrong corners of Twitter, you're not getting that. I think that a really important part of having a healthy relationship with the game is having a healthy community in the game, which is what we try and establish here. Uh, as always, you're not required, but you are fully and more than invited onto the Marvel Snap Zone uh, Discord, where everyone is super friendly. I have a corner that if you're not happy with the larger community, you can check out. It's called Podcast Hang with the Hosts. You're more than welcome. We'll talk you through any of your tilts or any of your addiction or anger issues with the game anytime. There are other really great communities. I cannot possibly recommend more the Lambie fam. They're like hyper competitive people, but they're also really, really nice and really cool people. I love Safety Blades group. I'm in like a whole bunch of discords that I really like. Peaceful Seas is full of a bunch of really great people. Elite Hassas is tiny but really nice. If you're struggling, like find a good community and they will help you with that struggle. Also, breaks are good, stopping is good. When you can't take a break or stop, try, if you know that like you're gonna, if you tilt you're gonna like force yourself to stop, set yourself hard timers and hard outs, right? Use an app to tally your games, and then if you hit 10, know that you're stopping, win or lose, right? Like give yourself hard outs, no, things you know what to do. If you know that you're gonna play too long, try playing before you have some responsibility that you know you're gonna have to take care of, so that you know when that timer's up you have to stop playing. build in to the things you know you can't change so that you can have better success with controlling the way this game makes you feel. And again, the game is fundamentally built to make you feel that way. Don't feel bad about it, but we're all here to help you get through that. If you'd like your question read out in tomorrow's video, leave one in the comments. If you'd like a priority answer, please check out our Patreon. Anyone on our Patreon can ask a question of me and get an answer basically the second I see it on the Patreon, or choose to get featured in the video by getting a priority question through. So check out our Patreon at patreon.com/snapjudgments. All right. Our spotlight card is Hercules. It's Series 5 for some reason. 6,000 tokens. Someone said this has severe Spider-Man 2099 vibes, and Spider-Man 2099 only costs 3,000 tokens, but otherwise, yep. So the first time another card moves here each turn, move it to another location. So when a card moves next to Hercules, Hercules chucks that card. Once. The first time. Okay, that's fine. Like, that's going to be really good at least once with Human Torch. With Vulture, it means one move on Vulture makes it an 8/13. One move on Torch makes it a 1/8, or with a Forge like a 1/16. All of these things are really strong, really powerful. That's a great way to utilize the Mighty Hercules and should be very good, right? Like, the problem is none of those are super meta. So, and because he's once per turn, unless you have some kind of move happening automatically on turn 4, he's only going to move a card on turn 5 and turn 6, which probably isn't enough. So this is the Anacleto Hercules. This is the only variant that's not a spotlight variant we have. I like it. Do I like it better than the base one? I like them about the same. I'd grab it just to have a variant, but like, we're very mid on variants. Also, I'm really, really sad and annoyed that Marvel Snap this month is only releasing one or no variants for each card as they release them. I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to build up anticipation, but it's disappointing. I want to grab a variant for the card. Like, let me spend my money where I want to, please. Thank you. All right. The Spotlight Cash variants for the month are this Hercules, which I think is pretty good. Not amazing, but pretty good. Again, about as good as the base one, which isn't exactly what I want to see, but it's a very nice piece of art with some really good coloring. Then we've got this really great comic cover, Werewolf by Night. You love to see it with him almost jumping out of the frame. I bet you that looks great in 3D. If I get it on my way to Hercules, I'll run it, but I'm not opening for it. Also, spoiler, I'm opening for Hercules. I am a content creator. I get everything. I have a bajillion tokens and a bajillion caches. I need to in order to best inform my viewers what they can do. Do not do as I do unless you are also a content creator, please. Thank you. I'm going to tell you now, my suggestion is going to be to not buy Hercules unless he shows up as amazing by Friday. So, like, right away, I am buying this. I will refer to buying this. Do not do so. This Howard is great, but it's only the third best Howard in the game because there's a hip I absolutely love. And then there's also the Noir with like the Wolverine style, like actual moving rain that I absolutely love. So this one's great, but to me, below those other two. All right. So I actually missed one synergy here. The main synergies are move cards like Vulture, Human Torch, and Dagger. There's also some synergies with Phoenix Force, although the cost slots make that a little bit prohibitive. And this is really good at counter. Oh, also other move stuff like Multiple Man. Also, this counter stuff like Jeff and Vision, sort of like if your opponent has priority, they move a card in there. At the end of the game, Hercules is going to chuck them away. But now your move is used up, so your move will not happen. So that's actually really annoying sometimes. The other thing I forgot to mention was Zabu. This is very likely to have really good synergy with Zabu because Zabu makes it a 3-cost card, which makes it like playable, except Zabu doesn't really otherwise fit in move decks. All right, our first home this is our standard Phoenix Force list. I basically said, well, if I have Hercules, maybe I don't need the Zola package, so I added Doctor Strange back in, and I said, okay, let's go. So I can Doctor Strange on top of Hercules. It'll pull whatever my Phoenix Force thing is, and then chuck it again. That's really great. If it's multiple men, it's not going to be too sad if that's Human Torch either. If I do that on turn like 5, then I can Zola on turn 6, move to a lane and Zola on turn 6, and be perfectly happy. There's also some like weird argument to Zolaing Hercules and then getting extra multiple man combos. So, this is not the worst thing in the world. It's definitely a doable play pattern. Does Hercules make this deck better? I don't think so, but it's a way to play it. This is another Phoenix Force list. It's only running Carnage and Venom, but it's also got the Torch, Multiple Man, Vulture, Dagger, so it's got like all the move payoffs. Unfortunately, if it doesn't get Human Torch, it's only got Ghost Spider and Doctor Strange 2 move cards, which is really the problem here. There's just not enough room for all this stuff, especially at the cost slots relevant. This deck badly wants Cloak, but like where? Right? Like I'm not sure where to grab Cloak for this deck, and that leads to all sorts of issues. All right, this is our classic move. This is what I would guess is like the best. I don't know why this is called Spasta Heimdall, but whatever. This is what I would assume is just like the best regular version. It runs move packages. It runs Doctor Strange. It runs Cloak. It runs Iron Fist. I could run Ghost Spider. I could not. I don't really give a crap. Um, like Ghost Spider and Iron Fist are fundamentally similar in this. And then it tries to like do some of that stuff on Hercules, and then because it's doing that stuff on Hercules, that stuff gets bounced all over the place. It can win that way. Heimdall is pretty damn good here. This was almost a deck when Werewolf was really good, but now Werewolf isn't really good, and I don't think it's much of a deck anymore. Here's another version of the classic move. This one instead goes for a little bit of extra top end and has the little bit of extra move at the bottom end. Um, should also be fine. Ditches multiple man, ditches the 3/5 Hulkbuster, and instead says, I've got more top end and I can just drop everything I need to early on. Again, a big Human Torch should be able to win a lane. So if you can figure out how to win another lane, you're doing pretty damn well here. This because this doesn't have multiple men, you're gonna have to get something relatively big. But again, Torch, Dagger, and Vulture can all do so. They're just at risk when they do because Shanga's still everywhere. All right, let's try that, but with a little bit of bounce. This one basically says, okay, but what if I ran Beast and Falcon so I can get extra triggers off of my Human Torch, Dagger combos? Great. I think that works relatively well. This deck really wants Forge, and I couldn't figure out how to fit it. It would probably have to be for Craven, which again is fine. Maybe that's better because it gets a Human Torch or Dagger or a Vulture so much bigger. And then you try and win the game that way because, again, you're getting double moves twice because of Hercules. And if you can get those double moves, then the card should be freaking completely humongous if you can get the ordering right. Because again, Hercules is the first card, which is wildly, wildly frustrating. Because that first card will be like Craven, get chucked away and do nothing, right? So like Dagger has to go before Craven or whatever, especially on that Heimdall turn. Who knows what happens with Hercules when like you Heimdall and he's the card that moves into his lane. We'll see then. But yeah, this is a workable way to play it. This is honestly probably where I'm going to start because I have a lot of love for bounce move. Another bounce move. This one runs Kyara because it's trying really hard to get that Human Torch going. Um, I think this is just good. Like bluntly, I think this is good. You have to get that hood off the board, but you have Beast and Falcon here for that. And if you can get that hood off the board, you can hopefully get a couple demons. If you can get a couple demons, that's 12 power. You can build a big Torch or Vulture, ideally Torch, because Kara protects that. And then you can win the game, hopefully. Because 12 power for 3 and then like 30 power for that last one is pretty damn good. Nico is great here. Cloak is our way to get things onto Hercules on demand. Whereas like Iron Fist and Ghost Spider are more targeted moves. Yet another bounce and move. This is the version I was playing earlier. I just basically threw Hercules in here. This is probably too expensive right now. It's gonna need to cut Bishop and run an extra cheap card. I guess that's probably Cloak spot, but this is just another version. Werewolf is again just a good card, right? Like you can play Werewolf. If you play Cloak, I'm pretty sure Cloak should be in that Bishop spot. Werewolf will jump to Cloak, and then you can play another ongoing somewhere else. Sorry, another on reveal somewhere else to move Werewolf out, and you should be totally fine. I think this is actually pretty good. Is this going to be meta? Nah, it's not going to be meta, but it's pretty good. Here's another Werewolf by Hercules. This one is trying to just say, if I get these out cheaply, I should be fine. Remember not to play too many on reveals in that Hercules lane unless you're punching something in there right away, because otherwise Hercules is going to waste his thing with Werewolf a lot, and that's really sad. But this is just like a good stuff version of the deck. I think this is probably, yet again, a good deck that falls just short. Although this one does make good use of Zabu. Next up, Drewberry does the best new card content in Marvel Snap. Check out our friend Drewberry Snap. This is my favorite of his list. He called it the Slapper 3000 because its basic gist is I slap away enemy cards. I've got Stegron and Juggernaut for that. Kingpin in a day will be a 2/3 that gives -2 to anything that moves there, so that's pretty good. Polaris, Arrow, etc. Sarah, so you can double up a little bit, Hercules, so that they can't just move things into that lane. And you should end up with a good amount of power because you're screwing them up. It seems fun. I like it. I don't know. Is it good? No, probably not, but this seems really fun and is a good home to test out some Hercules. All right, so I don't know why I said she there. He's got a lot of synergy with cards that aren't traditionally good. It's possible everyone's wrong, and 4/6 is usually good. That's usually their pushed card stats, so maybe we're wrong, but it's almost certainly overcosted and it's once per turn. So, like everyone I talk to over on Marvel Snaps, when I do an article every month where I interview a bunch of people about all the new cards and have them rank it. The article's up if you want to go check it out. In it, basically everyone's like, why isn't this a 3/5? If this is a 3/5, it's at least really playable. As a 4/6, it probably is not. Agreed. All right. I can't see this really being good as is. I see it being a 3/5 relatively soon, and then I can see it being a must-have card, which is an obnoxious place, but hey, what are you going to do? Also, check back Friday to be sure about this card. All right, our next card is Werewolf by Night. This is a spotlight card. This was the best card in the game when it was a 3/3, and it's almost fallen out of the meta outside of one Annihilus bounce deck as a 4/4. After you play an reveal card in another location, move there and gain +2 power. Same ability as always. All right, so the main home for this card is Loki. This is a Loki by Night deck. It's pretty good, right? Like, if you can get Werewolf down on turn 3 or turn 4, it gives you a win condition for when you don't see Loki. A Werewolf and a Devil Dino can win a game of Marvel Snap. You have plenty of cheap on reveals to move that Werewolf around and win the game of Snap. It's a good list. Werewolf is still good. It's a good card right now. All right. This is another version. This is the bounce version. This is like the I really, really, really want to power up my Werewolf version. Remember, Loki will be a 4/6 and not work with Collector. However, big caveat of however, Collector will still work with Forge, Maria Hill, Snow Guard, and then Falcon and Beast. So I think it's still probably worth running as like a 2/5, 2/6 instead of a 2/8, 2/9. Shadow King replaces Shang-Chi in the deck for the time being. It'll pull Werewolf where you want and hopefully get rid of something big on the opposing side of the board. And that's the basic gist of the list. It's also, got Loki, and Loki is great. This is the junk list that I told you about that's like everywhere right now. KM Best promoted it. It was the third place players deck last season. If you want, check last week. Last week we covered last season's number 1, number 2, and number 4 decks. This is the number 3 deck that we didn't cover because KM has this in the thousands and thousands of games. It's a great list. Oh wait, this isn't that list, excuse me. That list runs a bounce package instead of Thor and Jane. Sorry, it's the same basic list, except it runs literally the same list, except it runs like an extra 1, and then it runs a Falcon and Beast instead of Thor and Thor. So whatever, you get the idea. It's a really good list. This is an effective way to play Werewolf by Night because Yellow Jacket's just stellar with the card. It's a 0 cost +2. Yellow Jacket has 2, Werewolf has 4, so it makes it fundamentally a 0/4 for a lot of power. You used to be able to give your Spider Ham a negative with Yellow Jacket to send it over with Annihilus, but that's no longer the case. It'd have to be in negative power. 0 won't work. Basically, the same time that, as far as we know, the same time as this card comes out, the patch is coming out. So, like, also, fair warning, I usually do this giant patch video where I do like 20 decks for the new patch. I'm not doing that because the patch was spoiled last week. It's anticlimactic, and we talked about it last week. Annihilus will be a 5/5. This deck will be worse, but Werewolf is still really good in it, and this can put a lot of power on the board. If you go Thor, Werewolf, Jane, you get Yellow Jacket and Mjolnir. That's 2 triggers on Werewolf. It's really, really solid. This is the bounce version, finally. Sorry about that. I was 1 deck early. This is the bounce version. I told you it basically says, okay, so I'm not going to run those other 2 cards. I'll run these instead. And Werewolf is great here. That's it. This is like Werewolf's best deck right now. If you like this deck and have these cards, it should still really, really work for you. I'm going to play me some of this one, though, because I think this deck is really good, too. And this one feels like it. I don't know. I don't want to say more fun, but, like, definitely more fun, right? Does this one Scar? Is there, like, any chance this one Scar? Probably not, right? Like, Thor into Werewolf into, like, Sentry isn't really going to be a thing. I'd also have to see Mjolnir at that point to get my Scar worth it. Oh, well, worth the try. Okay. Sorry, last thought. We'll talk about it in our final thoughts. So Werewolf right now is very good, but not great and not meta. Howard the Duck is not any of that. He will be Series 4 when the series drops happen at the patch. 3,000 tokens ongoing. Tap this to see the top card of your deck. Cool. It's a fine card. It's not good. It's like a very mediocre one drop. But it's got this home in Safety's Pure Judgment list. Safety, there's the Hell Enjoy deck that everyone knows. Safety had an earlier version of that. This is it. It's like 3 cards different. Howard and Cosmo are 2 of those 3 cards, by the way. But if you want the best version of this, it doesn't run Howard. But like, hey, Howard's totally fine here. And this is a really pretty deck with like a million hips in it. So I like it a lot, and I'm always happy to show it. Then we have Ongoing Thanos. This is KM's list. I know it says Den takes decks for his articles because he's in charge of all the tier lists over on Snapzone. So we have this list that is basically saying, oh, this isn't the KM version. KM version doesn't even run Howard. I think it runs Ghost, but it's the same idea. It runs all these cards that can't be killed for Kyra, and then they get bigger because you're running Kazara, Blue Marvel, Valkyrie, and Spectrum. And that's the gist of the list. It's a very strong list. Is it broken? Is it incredible? No and no, but it's still very good and can win games of Marvel Snap, and Howard's perfectly fine here. I think Howard should really be Ghost here. Then we have Lauren Whatev's Airlock. This is still a really good list. It's a little worse with the Ms. Marvel change, as in you have to get a 1 into the lane you plan to storm for this list to work. If you can get a 1 into that storm lane, that's 2 cards there, so Ms. Marvel still works, so the entire strategy of the deck works. Your job is then to get priority, and then on turn 5, you arrow out whatever they played into the storm lane on turn 4 and win the game. That's going to be a worse strategy because Quake's about to be a completely frickin' broken card, but this is the Whatev's Airlock. It's a stellar deck. It's really cool. A million people hit Infinite with it last season. It is not significantly worse, and it's a Ms. Marvel deck that survives her nerf. All right, conclusions. Hercules seems bad. Howard is bad, and if you want him, get him with tokens since he's a Series 4. Werewolf is pretty good in one deck that also runs Annihilus, so if you have Annihilus, it's worth considering. But, Black Swan is coming next month. Black Swan is right now Datamine/Spoiled as a 2/3 on reveal. Next turn, all your 1-cost cards cost 0. That's completely freaking insane and busted with Werewolf. That's like a second beast for Werewolf decks, and when you consider that we are also about to get Grandmaster for that combination, then I think Werewolf is probably worth having, although Datamines are not official, so I can't promise you that. If these cards reveal as is, I think Werewolf is going to be a broken card and worth having. I'm not telling you to get him, I'm warning you that this might be the case. I think you should probably get Werewolf due to his power, but be careful, wait until Friday, let's see what the patch and the Datamines tell us, and we will revisit not just Hercules, but also Werewolf on Friday. Before we head out, I'd like to give special thanks to our Patreons. We've got Models, Pretty Chill, Fothor Newman, Ink, No Flex, Mandatory Burnout, Matt Conduit, Good Dog Gamer, Kirtix Lee, Mikey Hijinks, DG Wingfield, Rob Silverman, Matt H., Robert River, Abigail Gieslin, Direwolf, Ocularis, Spike Jones, Louis Antunes, JD McDonaldino, and our homie Min. Thank you all so much for your extra support. Again, if any of you would like to give extra support, please check out our Patreon at patreon.com/snapjudgments. Skip this week at least until Friday. Let's revisit how we feel about Werewolf on Friday after the patch changes things up, and I'm assuming Hercules is going to be bad. Cool. Hit that sub button, hit that like, hit that comment. We'll be back tomorrow with 3 brand new decks. I've already got a couple really special ones picked out for you. Don't forget to check previous videos because I'm killing everybody with the bounce list that like no one is playing. So if you'd like some free wins with the bounce list, check yesterday's video. Peace, y'all.